Under a gray sky and a cold wind blowing through the dusty streets of a small village, a boy named Samuel walked barefoot. His feet, cracked and dirty, had known the weight of suffering since his birth. Samuel had come into the world in a family marked by poverty and hopelessness. His mother, a woman with a noble heart but weakened by hunger, did the impossible to give him a piece of bread each day. His father, consumed by sadness and the lack of opportunities, had disappeared one night without a trace. Despite the pain and scarcity, Samuel never lost the sweetness in his gaze or the kindness in his heart. Whenever he found someone in greater need than himself, he shared what little he had. God cares for us, even though we don't always understand it, his mother would say. One day, while searching for food scraps in the market waste, a warm light touched his face. Samuel looked up and saw an elderly man with white hair and a serene gaze. His presence radiated peace. "Little one, I see you have a noble soul despite your difficulties. Do not lose faith, for heaven has a special place for those who suffer with hope." Samuel didn't fully understand the old man's words, but something in his heart told him they were important. From that day on, he began a journey that would take him down unexpected paths, where he would discover that God's love was greater than any earthly suffering. The days passed, and Samuel continued his life among the hunger and cold of the streets. However, the image of the old man and his words remained etched in his mind. Each night, before sleeping in the corner of an old abandoned church, he would look at the starry sky and whisper a prayer. "Lord, if you have a place for me, let me see it one day." One morning, while searching for food, he saw a group of children gathered in the square. As he approached, he discovered that a woman in a blue cloak was speaking to them softly. Her voice was gentle and conveyed comfort. God's love is infinite, and he never forgets any of his children. In this world, there is suffering, but in heaven, all pain disappears. Samuel felt warmth in his chest. It was the first time someone had spoken so lovingly about life after death. Intrigued, he approached the woman and asked, "How can I reach that place where there is no pain?" The woman smiled kindly and stroked his head. "Faith and hope are the paths that will take you there, little one. Never stop believing in God's love, even in the darkest moments." Those words stayed etched in Samuel's heart. From then on, whenever hunger or cold attacked him, he would repeat to himself, "Faith and hope will take me there." Unknowingly, his spirit was growing stronger for the journey he was about to embark on. Winter arrived with all its harshness. The nights were colder, and food was even scarcer. Samuel, increasingly weak, could barely keep himself standing. One day, as he tried to cross the street, his legs gave out and he fell to the ground. A man with a stern face but compassionate eyes stopped when he saw him. Without a word, he lifted him and took him to his home, a humble house near the church. "Rest, little one. You'll be safe here," said the man as he offered him a bowl of hot soup. Samuel looked at the man with gratitude and felt that, for the first time in a long while, someone cared for him. As he drank the soup, he remembered the words of the woman in the blue cloak. Perhaps this was a new path in his journey of faith. As the days went by, Samuel began to regain strength. The man who had rescued him was named Tomas, a solitary carpenter who had lost his wife and children to an illness. Though sadness still weighed on his heart, Tomas found in Samuel a reason to continue. "God has given me a second chance to care for someone," Tomas said one night as he lit the fireplace. "Perhaps you were sent to my life for a reason." Samuel, with his eyes lit by the fire, nodded in silence. For the first time, he felt that he belonged to a home. One afternoon, while they worked in the carpentry, Samuel felt a sharp pain in his chest. He placed his hand over his heart and staggered. Tomas rushed to hold him. "What's wrong, son?" he asked, concerned. Samuel took a deep breath and closed his eyes. "I don't know, but I feel like I'm getting closer to the place the woman in the blue cloak talked about." Tomas embraced him tightly, feeling in his heart that Samuel's destiny was about to be fulfilled. Between tears, he prayed for him, knowing that God's love was waiting for him in heaven. The days passed, and Samuel began to weaken more and more. His body no longer responded with the same strength, but his soul shone with a peace that only those who have found their destiny can know. Tomas took care of him with dedication, but in his heart, he knew that the little one was about to embark on his final journey. One night, while Samuel lay on his bed, he felt a warm light surround him. He opened his eyes and saw the figure of the elderly man with white hair by his side, with a serene smile. "The time has come, little one. God is waiting for you with open arms." Samuel felt no fear. A deep peace enveloped him. He closed his eyes and let the light guide him. Tomas felt a chill run through his body when he saw Samuel exhale his last breath with a smile on his face. Tears rolled down his cheeks, but not out of sadness, but out of gratitude for having been part of that special child's journey. At that moment, time seemed to stop. Tomas had been a witness to a miracle, not in a tangible sense, but in the profound change of heart that Samuel had caused in him. The room, cold and lonely, began to fade before his eyes. The sun had not yet risen, but there was something in the air that seemed different, as if the very essence of life was being renewed. Tomas slowly approached Samuel's bed, feeling how the little one's hand had stopped moving. However, on his face, the peace of one who had reached his destiny shone clearly. In the distance, the soft song of a bird greeting the new day could be heard, and for a moment, Tomas thought that perhaps Samuel's soul had already risen with that song, beginning his new journey in eternity. He looked at the sky through the window, which was beginning to lighten. A ray of sunlight filtered through the clouds, as if God himself was sending a warm and comforting greeting. Tomas closed his eyes and, with a trembling voice but full of love, whispered, "You're gone, but your light is still here. I promised you, Samuel. I took care of you on your journey, and now I know that God's love is waiting for you there, where there is no more pain or suffering. I promise you, you won't be alone." He felt his soul fill with a new kind of peace, the kind only those who have witnessed unconditional love can know. Tomas understood something in that instant. The pain of separation was not eternal. Love was the only constant that extended beyond the borders of life and death. Finally, the tears stopped, and his heart felt full, as if the farewell was merely a step towards something greater. He slowly stood up, approached the corner where Samuel had kept his small toy, a piece of wood worn by time, and held it in his hands. Gently, he placed it beside the small bed. That figure, which had always been filled with hopes and dreams, though now lifeless, was just a temporary body, but its soul, its essence, was now in a place of infinite peace. And although Tomas couldn't see it, he felt the presence of that love reflected in every corner of the universe. "You'll be all right, Samuel," he whispered again, knowing that his love would remain there, unshakable, beyond any earthly horizon. In the sky, Samuel opened his eyes and saw a landscape of infinite light. He no longer felt hunger or cold. Before him, a radiant figure looked at him with love. "Welcome home, Samuel," it said in a sweet voice. Samuel felt an indescribable joy. He now understood that all his suffering had been the prelude to an eternity full of love and peace. Around him, other children laughed and ran happily, without worries or hunger. On earth, Tomas looked up at the sky and smiled with sadness and hope. He knew that Samuel was now in a better place, free from all pain. and with his heart full of faith, he whispered, "We'll meet again, little one." Samuel, from the sky, smiled and, with a flash of light, sent a gentle breeze that caressed Tomas's face, like a divine whisper of eternal love.